Fadia Patterson was at that press conference. What did you find out, Fadia?
Police say they've arrested 21-year-old Dwayne Tillman Jr. in connection to that shooting in Ybor City.
The recent Roller Skating Rink Safety Act was passed to limit the liability that could be incurred by management as well as owners.
We have a cruiser right down there, and there were large crowds here. They asked them to leave. Good evening. These cooling centers are filled with food, water, and first aid specialists that are trying to help the community get through this heat wave. Protesters have just started their march once again. These are protesters from Slow Roll, Buffalo. We're walking with them as they march. They once again paused at the corner of Hickory and Broadway. And we're less than a month away from the first GOP presidential debate, and candidates are trying to make sure they get a spot on that stage. And we're continuing coverage on a mass shooting in Rochester. Investigators are searching for the suspect who fired dozens of shots into a crowd, killing 2 people and injuring 14 others. Police say they found about 100 people running from the area of Pennsylvania Avenue around 12:45 Sunday morning.
I'm super excited.
It's an anxious wait at the gate for Mark Henry Jean. He's at Orlando International Airport to pick up his parents who've been stuck in Haiti after gangs began raiding the nation's capital.
Well, they were supposed to be back March, but they couldn't.
That changed with a message via Instagram from Alan Sherwood.
To reach out to volunteer to make this happen, this is amazing.
Alan offered to send a private jet and escort Mark's parents, who are originally from Haiti and were there visiting family, back to Florida. They finally made it after 48 hours of traveling. Mark is emotional after seeing his parents, Eugenia and Madston, for the first time in 6 months.
Thank you so much.
It's also Mark's first time meeting the man who reunited his family and paid for their trip. Alan has completed similar rescues in the Ukraine and in Haiti. He wants to help missionaries and U.S. citizens that are stranded.
The people there, yeah, it's a level 4 threat, violence, whatever, but these people were doing God's work. That's what they were doing. They weren't there on vacation.
The Jeans have another son in that position who is still waiting to leave Haiti.
Moi, grand pile qui est content. Moi, j'ai une chance de retourner ici aux États-Unis parce que la situation Haïti est difficile en pile. Cependant, nous gagnons un bon peuple, mais nous pas gagné un dirigeant.
Mark's parents arrived in time to celebrate his father's 74th birthday.
Very grateful. They are still great people. They are still unbelievable people.
Meanwhile, Mark says he's gained a lifelong friend in Alan through this ordeal.
Let's take a picture together.
While the situation itself hasn't been picture perfect, the Jeans say what they're focusing on now is cherishing these moments together. Fadia Patterson, Spectrum News. Yeah. These days, Lydia Guevara says she's watching her pennies, trying to save money even when it comes to her meals.
Because if I don't think about that, I'll run out of money and I won't be able to eat anything.
She's cooking a grilled cheese sandwich after a long day at work. She's a teacher's aide for special needs children. It's a job she absolutely loves, but says it's not offering her a living wage.
So I think I do feel more invested in this because I am autistic and I can relate to their experiences, and so it means a lot to me that they get an education in the way they deserve.
At the same time, she worries about her own quality of life declining. Lydia says she's finding it difficult to pay her bills.
I'm stressed about it all day, every day. And like when my friends want to hang out and go somewhere, like it's just overshadowed by the fact that I don't know if I can afford to do any of this.
After benefits are taken from her paycheck, Lydia makes about $13.50 an hour. She gets through by sharing her 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment with a roommate.
I thought that people who did jobs like this would be paid more.
As the cost of living increases and inflation continues to be a concern, Lydia says her finances are maxed out. She says she's been forced to prioritize paying for housing over medical bills.
Several doctor's appointments I need to make that I don't know when I'll be able to make them.
But she worries that putting off those appointments could impact her health in the long run. So she stays active by riding her bike.
I need to stay healthy because I can't really afford to be going to the doctor too much. I have chronic pain that I should be going to the doctor for, but I remembered that they told me that exercise helps, so I'm just doing that instead.
She says being as healthy as possible will not only help her, but benefit her students.
Because I get to be outside, exercising, and it helps me save on gas too, which is helpful.
Lydia says she'll continue to save wherever she can, but she's concerned it might not be enough.
Especially as prices get higher, less and less people will be able to afford to work this job.
It all adds up to career uncertainty for Lydia. She says her goal is to make a difference in students' lives, so she'll continue to look for ways to finance her own. In Pinellas County, Fadia Patterson, Spectrum News. Hey there, Rick. Good evening. Doctors at this emergency room at HCA Florida Brandon Hospital say they're seeing all age groups struggle with heat-related illnesses. However, they say it's the children and the elderly that are at higher risk because they can struggle to regulate their own body temperatures. Coach Matt Clark is hosting tryouts for the Lady Bombers softball team. He says part of their hours of conditioning and training includes hydration, something their parents, Amy Clark and Phil Van Almen, also reinforce.
And they think water is enough, and in this heat, it's not if they're out here all day. Like, they need to replace what they've lost.
We spend all weekend at the park usually watching the girls play softball, so it's fans, shade, water.
Being proactive is something doctors at HCA Florida Brandon Hospital say they'd like to see more of. Dr. Nicholas Hayek is an emergency room doctor.
So we've been seeing a large uptick in heat-related illnesses, extending from just heat cramps all the way to heat stroke, and a majority of those cases being heat exhaustion.
One of his patients came in with a temperature of 108 degrees.
The most important thing is getting those temperatures down quickly within about 30 minutes to an hour. So here we have a variety of things that we use for cooling down patients when we have a high temperature or a hyperthermic emergency.
Dr. Hayek says children and the elderly are at greater risk of heat-related illnesses because they often struggle to regulate their own body temperatures.
People will go out and celebrate and they don't realize how volume depleted they're going to be until it's a little too late.
Before they play for hours in the heat, Coach Clark gives his team a head start to prepare.
A lot of these girls are asked to hydrate 2 and 3 days before we're going into a tournament. Tournaments can last usually 2 days.
He says this guarantees they can play their best while beating the heat. And some symptoms of heat-related illnesses that doctors say you should look out for are fainting, dizziness, and lightheadedness. If you are experiencing any of those symptoms, you are encouraged to call 911. Reporting live in Brandon, Fadia Patterson, Spectrum News.